Hey everyone, welcome to my usual me and welcome to my Baldur's Gate 3 multi-classing guide for the origin character Shadowheart, who you meet at the beginning of the game, and she's stuck in a pod. If you can free her at the beginning of the game, that's fine. If you can't, spoilers, when the Nautiloid ship crashes, she'll be in the north side of the beach banging on the crypt door, and you'll be able to recruit her right away. She'll be the first character, most likely, that you're going to find that you can get into your camp. So you and her will be adventuring together very quickly at the beginning of the game. All right, so clerics, they get their subclass at level 1. So Larian has already decided for us that she is a trickery domain cleric. And that isn't going to change unless Larian allows us to respec her subclass in the camp with Withers. Withers is, another spoiler, an undead in that same crypt that you can find, and he will come to your camp once you wake him up. Also, I've been told that he will be in your camp later on in the game if you don't find him. So not to worry, Withers will be in your camp eventually, so you'll be able to respec your characters and experiment with different builds. So Shadowheart is a trickery domain cleric at level 1. If they allow us to respec her, we immediately change that to a life cleric. And the reason for that is it gives extra oomph to every single healing spell that the cleric casts. So no matter what the amount is in the game, I think it's an extra 2 hit points of healing plus 1 per level, I think is what it is in the game right now. It could change on release, but you want to go ahead and you can turn her into a life domain cleric. You do so. And then we subclass almost immediately into Druid. And there's a reason for that. And that's why I'm going to put her into Druid, because Druids and Clerics both use Wisdom as their primary focus for casting. And so right now, her stats are as such. She's got 12 Strength, 14 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, 10 Intelligence, 16 Wisdom, and 10 Charisma. Those are her stats as they start. She does start with, in her inventory, she does start with a chain shirt, which gives her, that's medium armor, and that gives her 13 armor class, but with dexterity bonus, it gives her a max of 2 for medium armor, so she has an armor class of 15. If you tack a shield onto her in the game, immediately that bumps to 17, and so you have a really respectable armor class. She's going to be fairly hard to hit, so that's not bad at all. Get her a shield as soon as possible, and then you're going to be good to go. It's about as good as you're going to get, unless you can get her into half plate. If you can get her into half plate, that'll be fine. Then you can bump it up a little bit more. And the reason that we only want to dip once, only one level in whatever you want, is because at level 11, that is when clerics get their level 6 spells. So these are in D&D Beyond, in D&D 5e, these are the ones that are automatically known all the time by a trickery cleric. There are not nearly this many in Baldur's Gate 3, so ignore this list for the most part. Most of these are not going to be in the game. Polymorph's not in the game. I don't think that, I don't think Modify Memory is going to be in the game. There's a lot of spells that are not going to be in the game that are on this list, so don't worry about it. D&D Beyond is a great place to go for free and do some build, check out some synergistic builds. You can test them out before the full release of Baldur's Gate 3. I highly recommend it. It doesn't cost you any money. You can go ahead and play around. You can have up to 6 characters you can mess with. But anyway, so the whole point is she's going to have 1 level 6 spell at level 11. Now, if we go ahead and we change her up, let's say level 12, because obviously in Dungeons & Dragons you can normally go up to level 20, and we kill off this Druid right here. At level 12, if you look at her spells, it's the exact same spell progression. Now, this might change with Larian and Baldur's Gate 3, but they are not going to give us less. They will give us more, because they said they want people to be able to multi-class into magic and to be easier for them. So the amount of spell slots that you have at level 12, I don't think will change. I don't think they're going to give us 2 6th level spells at level 12. I think it's going to be 1. I think it'll only be 1 because they're so powerful. But I want to keep the 6th level spell of Cleric because I want the 6th level spell Heal. I do know that's in the game, and I believe we definitely want this. And what that does is it gives up to 70 hit points of healing when you cast the spell, and also cures blindness, deafness, and any diseases affecting the target. This is one of the most powerful healing spells that a cleric can get, and I highly recommend you keep it. Now, if you don't and you want to do something else, by all means. You will also have Hero's Feast. That's in the game. It's a little different than it is here, but Hero's Feast is in the game, which is great. And I do believe Planar Ally is in the game too, but that's ass in my opinion, because it costs 1,000 gold pieces per hour to bring a Planar Ally in and to help you out. 1,000 gold pieces is a lot in Baldur's Gate 3. So, I mean, that's a lot for a spell component. I wouldn't even bother with it. True Seeing's probably in the game. I don't think Word of Recall is. I don't think Harm might be in the game. Find the Path probably is as well. Blade Barrier is in the game. Create Undead is in the game. So there's a lot of level 6 spells that you're going to want to keep. There's only one spell slot, so you got to choose wisely. But if you want her to be a healer, then I highly recommend you just keep her at level 11. It's very, very simple. And then go Druid. And the reason for going Druid, you have 3 Druid spells that overlap with 2 Druid spells that overlap with Cleric, and 1 that you don't get with Cleric that you definitely want. So the first level spells that are going to be with Cleric are going to be Cure Wounds and Healing Word, and those 2 are going to be freeing up 2 spell slots in your Cleric spell list that you don't have to worry about. You're going to be able to not have to get those and still have 2 of the best healing spells, beginning healing spells, by taking 1 level in Druid. And then Goodberry is absolutely one of the best spells that there is for healing. Now in the game, you get 10 in D&D 5e, you get 10 Goodberries, and they heal 1 hit point each, and it gives you 1 day's worth of food. That's not the case in Baldur's Gate 3. In Baldur's Gate 3, you get 4 good berries, but they heal 1d4 health. So that is 4 to 16 points of healing from 4 good berries all in all. If you can cast that spell, and you're going to have 4 spell slots, you could cast it 4 different times at level 1 once you get all the way up to level 12. However, if they allow us to subclass into a life cleric, you also get the additional bonus of the 2 extra healing plus 1 for the level, it being a level 1 spell. So you're going to get, instead of 1d4 per good berry, it's going to be between 4 to 7 points of healing versus 1 to 4 points of healing per good berry. So that's almost like 2 healing potions from this spell each time you cast it. So it's a really, 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 really good spell. Whether they allow us to change her subclass or not, it doesn't matter. Take 1 level in Druid, get the Goodberry spell, equip the Cure Wounds and the Healing Word. Also, you can change out your spells every day with Druid and with Cleric, so it doesn't really matter. So let's go back over here to the build, and we'll check out what we're going to get with Trickery of Domain. We get Blessing of the Trickster, which is you get advantage on dexterity checks for an hour. Channel Divinity, you can evoke Duplicity, which means you make a copy of yourself, and if you're within 5 feet of each other, if you and your duplicate are within 5 feet of each other, it gives you advantage on attack rolls against the creature that you're attacking. Also, if you can move your duplicate up to 30 feet per round as a bonus action. It has to stay within 120 feet of you though, but you can cast a spell through that. So if you have a touch spell that you need, you can up to 30 feet away. You can invoke Duplicity. If you have a downed party member, and through your duplicate, you could cast a Cure Wounds on the person that was down, and immediately get them back up. I mean, or you could do a Healing Word, but if you don't have Healing Word equipped to bring that party member back up, that works as well. But you can cast touch spells through your duplicate, so that's really good. Level 5, you're going to get Destroy Undead. You're going to have Turn Undead with your Channel Divinity as well. Every cleric has it. So you'll have Turn Undead at level 2. And you only have a certain number of times you can use your Channel Divinity. So be aware that there's some action economy in there. You're going to have to mitigate that. But at level 5, you're going to be able to Destroy Undead. Obviously, you have ability score improvements at level 4 and level 8. And here's the kicker. If you do multi-class, you're going to lose your 12th ability score improvement because you'll get one at level 12. So you're going to lose that, but that's the last level in the game, and is raising your ability score up by 2 going to be worth it when you have the entire game to play and you have these extra 3 healing spells that you can use the entire rest of the game? And also, since you can respec anyway, if you decide to drop Druid at the end and just go your 12th level Trickery Domain Cleric, you should be able to just do that. Just drop Druid at the end, right before the big boss battle. You get your 12th level in Cleric, get your extra ability score improvement, and just go about your business, kill that boss. Now, with your ability score improvements, there are a couple of options here. Because you only have 2, I would highly recommend you go ahead and you up your wisdom right out the gate. At level 4, up your wisdom. You're going to hit a lot more. If you have an 18 wisdom, it's going to be 14. However, let me go back here. If we go ahead and get rid of that and it's 16, then it's going to be 13. See? So for every +1 you add to your wisdom, your save DC, or what they have to roll over to not be affected by your spells, it goes up by 1. So, and the most you can have is +5 at 20. So you definitely want at least an 18. So so it makes it harder for the enemy to save against your spells. I'm talking about things like Charm Person. I'm talking about things like Hold Monster. I'm talking about things like Dominate Person or Dominate Monster, if that's available in the game, which it should be. So things like that. So you definitely, your first one right out the gate, go ahead and level 4, up your wisdom score, and then you could, if you wanted, at level 8. Really, you could raise it up to 20 if you wanted, or you could take a feat. Spell Sniper would be okay. You cast a spell that requires make an attack roll. That spell range is doubled. You ignore half cover and 3/4 cover with your spells. And you get to learn 1 extra cantrip that requires an attack roll. You get an extra cantrip. Whereas my Shield Master is really good for people who use shields, simply because if you are subjected to an effect that allows you to make a dexterity saving throw to take only half damage, like let's say somebody throws a fireball at you, then you can use your reaction to take no damage if you succeed on the saving throw, versus if you would take half damage. But if you have Shield Master, you'll take 0 damage. And if she's a Cleric, you want her to stay here, keep her in the fight as long as possible, because she's the one keeping other people up. Obviously, Warcaster is going to be one of them. You have advantage on Constitution saving throws that you make to maintain your concentration when you take damage. Like if you have say Hold Person or Charm Monster or Charm Person, and you take damage, then you have to make a concentration check, a Constitution saving throw, to see if your concentration is still holding that spell. If you fail, you lose it, but you have advantage if you take Warcaster. So you get to roll those dice twice. You can also perform. This one doesn't matter so much because you're a Cleric, so you can have a shield and a weapon and still cast your spells. This is more for like wizards and whatnot that want to use a shield, or they want to use a weapon. So that doesn't really matter so much. And then, by the way, somatic components are you're using your hand to cast the spell. You're using so that's your somatic component. You have a verbal, somatic, and material component to spells. Usually, 2 to 3 of them, or 3 of those components have to be involved in when you cast your spell. Clerics don't have that so much because they have a religious focus. The symbol of their god is usually what they use for the somatic component instead. That's their spell focus. So anyway, so you don't need that. But you also have when a hostile creature's movement provokes an opportunity attack from you. In other words, if you're next to a creature that is your enemy and they try to run away from you, you can use your reaction to cast a spell at that creature rather than making an opportunity attack, which would normally be a weapon attack. Okay? So normally I would like hit him with my mace, but instead I can hit him with any number of spells like Guiding Bolt or Sacred Flame or Blindness or Curse or any of those spells. Any spell you want to cast on them, you can cast on them. So Warcaster is really, really good for any caster that is in the game. And then, of course, we always have the go-to if you can't decide. Tough is always a good one because it's going to give you your maximum hit point increases by an amount equal to twice your level when you gain this feat. And then whenever you gain a level thereafter, because this is retroactive, by the way, your hit point maximum increases by an additional 2 hit points. I mean, if you have nothing else going on at level 12, and let's say you don't want a multi-class. Tough is the feat to take at the end for the boss because it's going to give you extra hit points. Like without tough, let's see, at this point at level 8, it's showing max hit points of 75. It won't be this for you because it's going to be different in Baldur's Gate 3. I'm just giving you this as an example. So it says 75 hit points. If I take away tough altogether, then it drops me down to 59. See how much of a difference that is in 8 levels? That's a lot. Tough is a great feat, especially if you're noticing that you're dying a lot or you're being downed a lot and you're going unconscious quite a bit. That's the way to go. Cloak of Shadows is useless. Don't even worry about it. That's why I kind of don't care for the Trickery Domain Cleric, although the duplicate is really nice. And Blessing of the Trickster is kind of cool too. But also Blessing of the Trickster is not going to really matter late game because you're going to have a Pass Without a Trace, which is going to give you a plus 10 to your stealth check. So if you roll stealth and you it'll say that's a 14, if I have Pass Without a Trace up, then everybody that was within that radius when I cast it gets an additional plus 10 to their stealth check. So that wouldn't be 14, that would be 24. So really, I mean, this is a first level a blessing that you get, and it's great. It's fine for one person, but really, Pass Without a Trace is the go-to sneaky spell when you're trying to get past enemies and you don't want to be noticed. And then, of course, also at level 8, you're going to get Divine Strike, which means you're going to get an additional 1d8 poison damage whenever you hit a target with a melee attack. So, I mean, that's like you hit them with your mace or whatever weapon you're using. You're going to get an extra 1d8 poison damage added on to your damage roll if you hit them. However, I don't know how many late game creatures are going to be immune to poison or have resistance to poison. Probably quite a few, because that poison damage is one of the more resisted damages in the game. So this is kind of lame, and because you also don't get 2d8 until you hit level 14, and we only are going to level 12 anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Now, once we get up to level 10, the Divine Intervention would normally be great because then you roll D100, and so long as you roll lower than your level, whatever your level is at the time, your deity has to help you. They have to. I haven't seen Divine Intervention in the game yet. I don't even know if this is going to be a thing. They'll probably give us something else, because to code that into the game would be kind of difficult. I don't know what it would be. If it is, it's going to be some weird, twisted version of this, which should be fine. Larian's pretty good about giving us, being fair with us with our spells. So, and they do know their business. Like, I've been making characters on D&D Beyond for years. So yeah, I mean, and I don't see how they can they would code that into the game. You're literally calling the wrath of your god down to help you on your behalf. Or you can ask them a question and they have to say, oh, well, I need to know where the entrance is to this cave. Divine Intervention, if you roll under your level, and you can do it, you can try it after every long rest. Now, if it's successful, you have to wait a week before you can use it again. But anyway, I'm getting off. I'm not getting off subject, but I'm going beyond what I would normally do. Now, level 11, you don't get anything except your level 6 spells. You get your level 6 spells at level 11. You definitely want those. Don't go more than one level into anything. I say this with all my soul. If you're going to multi-class Shadowheart, please, please, please just do one level, and I would suggest Druid. That's my go-to. And I already told you why. Because you have Goodberry, you have the spell slots to go into Healing Word and Cure Wounds. Plus, you get a couple extra cantrips that you wouldn't normally have, and some of these are not going to be in the game. But I mean, things like Thorn Whip are good. Guidance is immense. So if you haven't picked up Guidance, like I said before, it's my favorite cantrip in the game in Baldur's Gate at the moment. And also, because there are so many animals in the game, you also get the Speak with Animals spell. Now, this is a ritual spell. I don't know if they're going to allow. I mean, they should allow rituals in the game, so you might be able to use this without even using a spell slot. We'll have to see when the full release happens. But Speak with Animals, there's so many animals in the game. That's definitely a spell you want to pick up. And since you're multiclassing into Druid, you can speak with all the critters. So Shadowheart can get all the information. All right, guys, well, that's going to do it, I think. The Trickery Domain Cleric with a Druid dip. I would highly recommend you take your Druid at level 2, maybe level 3 at the latest, so that you can have access to Speak with Animals and Goodberry, and you can have the spell slots available for your healing word and your cure wounds. The Druid dip is probably the way to go because it's not gonna affect any of your spell casting at all. The higher you get with your wisdom, the better your Druid spells are going to be anyway. And both Druid and Cleric can pick their spells at the end of or at the beginning of every long rest, at the end of every long rest at camp every day. So you're going to be able to switch those spells out. Not going to be an issue at all. So that's going to be my multiclassing build for Shadowheart for Baldur's Gate 3. I hope this helped you out. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, give us a thumbs up. And if I've earned your subscription, don't forget to hit that bell icon for notifications. As I always say, I am my usual me. You be your usual you, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.